Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful today. Ridge cancels the wedding to fly to Italy with Brooke, Taylor tears and begs him. Grace's downfall, no wedding for Taylor. Taylor Hayes. While Grace Buckingham copes with her own demise, Nick Maroney will also have to deal with a failed engagement. Every day during the week of July 21st to 25th, Liam Spencer will feel better. Everyone will still be in awe of Liam's tumor-free status as a result of Grace and her colleague's life-saving surgery. Steffy Forrester will visit Liam more often and tell him how glad she is that he survived. Sheila Sharp will soon be joining us, so once she strikes up an awkward conversation with Liam and Steffy, she'll contribute some humor. Even while everyone is happy with Liam's new prognosis, Finn will grow more doubtful. Finn might put Grace in a difficult situation and make her confess to her fraud after further investigation. It appears that Grace played on Bill Spencer's feelings in order to make a quick profit by fabricating a tumor for Liam. By the time of the week of July 28th to August 1st, Grace's demise might be imminent. Because of her involvement in these crimes, will Grace lose her job and be arrested? Bill will be furious to find out he was tricked, even though Grace would apologize and tell a tearful tale about the obligations she owed. On a more positive note, Nick will enjoy Italy with Brooke Logan, treating her like his queen. Some amazing B&B scenes, including some that make Brooke think about a real future with Nick, will take place against the backdrop of Naples and Capri. Given Nick's optimism for a happy ending, an engagement ring will be necessary. Nick will arrange a marriage proposal, but he will not have the life he desires with Brooke. Ridge Forrester will eventually see Brooke in danger after his jealousy erupts. There will be an incident that reportedly sends Brooke plummeting into the ocean, allowing Ridge to act quickly. When Ridge saves Brooke, their new beginning will be finalized. Ridge will need to revamp his romantic life because he can no longer ignore that Brooke is his destiny. This implies that Taylor's wedding fantasy is on the verge of being dashed. If Taylor finds out that Ridge is returning to Brooke during the week of August 4th to 8th, it should be quite the emotional roller coaster. Without a doubt, Taylor will blow up at Brooke and vent her rage on Ridge. Taylor could be more upset with herself, though, because she thought that this time with Ridge would be different. With all these meaningless Ridge reunions, will Taylor finally learn her lesson? Taylor needs to take it all in and guard her heart the next time because Ridge usually ends up picking Brooke. No wedding for Taylor Hayes. While the city still basks in the radiant afterglow of Liam Spencer's miraculous recovery, a recovery met with daily relief by Liam himself, constant joyful visits from Steffy Forrester expressing her profound gratitude for his survival, and even an awkwardly humorous interruption from the ever-unpredictable Sheila Sharp, a sinister crack is rapidly spreading beneath the surface of this collective celebration. Dr. John Finn Finnegan, his instincts honed by skepticism rather than malice, refuses to let the euphoria blind him. His persistent digging, a relentless pursuit of truth amidst the orchestrated fanfare, is about to corner the architect of this elaborate illusion, Grace Buckingham. Under the intense pressure of Finn's incisive interrogation, Grace's carefully constructed facade crumbles. The devastating truth explodes into the open. Liam's life-threatening tumor was nothing but a chilling fiction, a cruel scam meticulously engineered by Grace. She preyed ruthlessly on Bill Spencer's deepest paternal fears and vulnerabilities, manipulating his love for his son into a quick cash grab to alleviate her own crushing debts. As the week of July 28th to August 1st bleeds into the first days of August, Grace's downfall accelerates with terrifying speed. Her medical career lies in smoking ruins, the Hippocratic oath shattered by her greed. The specter of arrest looms large as the full weight of her fraudulent actions, the emotional terrorism inflicted on Liam, Hope, Steffy, and most brutally, Bill, becomes undeniable. Even if she offers tearful remorse and a desperate sob story about the debts that drove her, Bill Spencer's reaction is a foregone conclusion, volcanic, unadulterated fury. The man who paid a fortune to save his son, who endured unimaginable anguish, has been profoundly, unforgivably duped, and his wrath will be a force of nature seeking absolute retribution. Yet, even as Grace's world collapses under the weight of her deception, thousands of miles away amidst the sun-drenched romance of Italy, another illusion of happiness reaches its poignant, inevitable end, directly sealing no wedding for Taylor. Nick Marone, believing destiny has finally delivered his prize, treats Brooke Logan like his absolute queen. Against the breathtaking backdrops of Naples and the Isle of Capri, Nick orchestrates moments of pure enchantment, scenes so idyllic they make Brooke genuinely contemplate a real future far removed from the Forrester drama. Filled with hope for this long-awaited happy ending, Nick secures an engagement ring, envisioning a lifetime of Italian bliss with the woman he's loved for so long. He plans the perfect marriage proposal, a culmination of his dreams. But fate, and more specifically, Ridge Forrester's inextinguishable claim, intervenes catastrophically. Ridge's simmering jealousy, never truly dormant where Brooke is concerned, erupts, compelling him to follow them. His timing proves unnervingly prescient as he witnesses an accident, Brooke, perhaps startled or losing her footing near the water's edge, tumbling into danger. Without a second thought, Ridge leaps into action, becoming Brooke's heroic rescuer. This single, selfless act, this undeniable proof of his instinctive, life-preserving bond with her, seals the deal on their inevitable reunion. Pulled from the water by Ridge, confronted by the raw intensity of their connection in that life-or-death moment, Brooke cannot deny the truth any longer. Ridge, equally overwhelmed, recognizes this rescue as the universe screaming what he's always known: Brooke is his destiny. He resolves to make updates to his love life, a euphemism for discarding his commitment to Taylor. Therefore, Taylor's wedding dream isn't just postponed, it's violently derailed before it even reaches the station. Thus, the week of August 4th to 8th arrives as a brutal confluence of ruin and heartbreak. For Grace Buckingham, it's the week her downfall becomes complete, facing professional annihilation, legal peril, and Bill Spencer's incandescent rage, her scam exposed as a heartless cash grab built on lies. Simultaneously, in Los Angeles, Taylor Hayes experiences her own devastating collapse. Learning that Ridge is irrevocably going back to Brooke after his Italian heroics, Taylor's world implodes. She will unleash her fury on Ridge, a torrent of betrayal and pain, and undoubtedly explode at Brooke, the eternal victor in their decades-long war. Yet, her most corrosive anger will likely be directed inward, angry with herself for once again believing, against all historical evidence, that this time with Ridge would be different. The bitter lesson, as crushing as it is familiar, is forced upon her: Ridge always chooses Brooke sooner or later. As Grace faces the consequences of her criminal deception, Taylor is left to grapple with the emotional wreckage of believing in a love that was never truly hers to keep. No wedding for Taylor stands as a stark monument to her recurring folly, while Grace's downfall serves as a grim reminder of the catastrophic cost of deceit. Both women, though through vastly different sins and circumstances, find themselves utterly undone as August dawns, their hopes extinguished in the harsh light of truth and Ridge Forrester's inescapable destiny. The only question remaining for Taylor is whether this final, humiliating rejection will finally force her to let that sink in, to truly protect her heart and abandon the pointless Ridge reunions that have defined, and destroyed, so much of her life. Liam's miracle, Nick's romantic move, and Eric's announcement. Eric Forrester will give a speech and make an announcement. Nick Marone, meantime, approaches Brooke Logan romantically. Liam Spencer's miracle spreads. First, let's talk about Liam's miracle. In order to save Liam's life, Bill Spencer spent $1 million on Grace Buckingham. At least not in the US, the procedure was not authorized. In Monday's episode, Grace's behavior and flashbacks imply that there was never a tumor at all, despite her belief that everything is ideal. What if something goes wrong following Liam's brain operation, which is so intrusive and dangerous? Recuperation might be challenging. Returning to Liam's recuperation, news will get out that he isn't actually dying. Ridge Forrester, Taylor Hayes, and Brooke Logan were informed of the wonderful news by Katie Logan and Will Spencer. The fact that Liam could finally get back together with Beth and Kelly Spencer was even better. Eric Forrester's declaration. He'll give an impassioned speech on life and love with Eric. Eric will then declare that the Italian vacation is still scheduled. Naturally, now that Liam is going to be alright, everyone will feel much better. But I'm curious if Liam would experience issues while his loved ones are abroad. The romantic step of Nick Marone. According to Tuesday, July 22 spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Nick will pursue Brooke romantically once more. Could Brooke choose to follow her new journey now that Ridge is firmly moving on with Taylor? She must eventually move past the dressmaker. July 22, 2025, Tuesday. Fans may continue to wonder about this miraculous procedure as they watch Bridget Forrester and John Finn Finnegan. Neither of them understands any of it. In addition to Taylor, Hope Logan also raised suspicions. Additionally, fans may see more of Lee Finnegan. Lee hasn't been around much since the passing of Luna Nozawa. Is that because Lee is pursuing her own evil plan? Liam Spencer, once resigned to the cruel finality of a terminal diagnosis, was alive. Not just surviving, but recovering. This miracle, whispered through the hallowed halls of the mansion and the sleek corridors of the design house with the reverence of a sacred hymn, formed the pulsating heart around which all other lives now beat, coloring every interaction, every decision, with its profound, almost surreal relief. Yet, beneath the surface of this overwhelming joy, currents of profound unease and unresolved questions churned, threatening the fragile peace. It was against this backdrop of soaring hope shadowed by insidious doubt that Eric Forrester prepared to reaffirm life's continuity. Nick Marone saw an opening for his heart, and the true nature of Liam's salvation remained a terrifying enigma. Liam's reprieve felt less like a gentle sunrise and more like a supernova, blinding in its intensity. The news, delivered by Katie Logan and young Will Spencer to Ridge, Taylor, and a Brooke still reeling from her own emotional maelstrom, landed with seismic force. Ridge's stoic facade cracked, revealing raw gratitude. Taylor's professional concern melted into maternal tears. Brooke, caught between the residual pain of Ridge's departure and the overwhelming relief for the man who was like a son, felt the world momentarily right itself. But the true pinnacle, the moment that crystallized the miracle's worth, was Liam's fragile reunion with Kelly and Beth. The sight of him, weakened but present, gathering his daughters into trembling arms, their laughter mingling with his tears of disbelief, was a balm to the collective soul of the family. It was a scene ripped from a dream they'd all stopped daring to have, a father returned from the precipice, children no longer facing an unthinkable loss. Hope Logan, witnessing this reunion, felt a profound vindication of her faith, yet even amidst her tears, a sliver of the skepticism she'd harbored since the bizarre circumstances began flickered, unextinguished. The sheer, unadulterated joy of this moment, however, momentarily eclipsed the chilling reality of its procurement. For the miracle had a price tag and a name, $1 million, paid by Bill Spencer to Grace Buckingham. This was no routine medical intervention blessed by peer review and hospital ethics boards. It was a desperate, shadowy transaction for an experimental, invasive brain procedure conducted outside the sanctified boundaries of U.S. medical regulations. Grace, radiating triumphant confidence, presented it as a flawless success, a testament to her brilliance. Yet, her carefully constructed facade showed alarming cracks. Haunted flashbacks, fleeting moments of dissociation, and a brittle edge to her pronouncements whispered a terrifying counter-narrative. What if there was never a tumor at all? The implications were catastrophic. Bill, driven by paternal desperation bordering on mania, might have paid a fortune for an utterly unnecessary, profoundly dangerous assault on his son's brain. Liam's current awakening wasn't a triumph of medicine, but a horrifying roll of the dice where the bullet simply hadn't fired yet. Recovery from any brain surgery is fraught with peril, infection, hemorrhage, cognitive deficits, seizures, a minefield of potential complications that could emerge days, weeks, or even months later. The fragility of his current state wasn't just physical, it was the terrifying uncertainty of what unseen damage might lurk beneath the surface, a ticking time bomb purchased with Bill's fortune and desperation. This chilling possibility resonated deeply with Dr. John Finn Finnegan and Dr. Bridget Forrester. Their professional instincts screamed in alarm. The lack of documentation, the secrecy, the unapproved nature of the procedure, none of it aligned with medical reality. Their shared, worried glances spoke volumes. They needed answers, not celebratory champagne. Taylor Hayes, despite her relief for Steffi and the children, also felt the icy fingers of doubt. The pieces didn't fit. The miracle felt manufactured. And the conspicuous absence of Lee Finnegan, withdrawing significantly after the trauma of Luna Nozawa's death, added another layer of unsettling mystery. Was Lee simply grieving, or was her retreat a strategic withdrawal, connected to the murky circumstances surrounding Liam's cure? The specter of a sinful scheme hung in the air, unanswered. It was into this potent cocktail of elation and apprehension that Eric Forrester, the family patriarch, stepped forward. Gathering his loved ones, his children, their partners, the intricate web of souls bound by decades of love and conflict, he radiated a calm authority. His voice, thick with emotion forged in his own recent battles for life and love, delivered a speech that resonated deeply. He spoke of resilience, of the precious, fleeting nature of time, of the enduring power of love that binds families even through the fiercest storms. He acknowledged the darkness they'd faced, the terror of losing Liam, and the profound gratitude they now felt. His words were a salve, a reminder of their core strength. Then, with a warmth that pushed back the lingering shadows, Eric made his announcement: the long-planned family trip to Italy was unequivocally back on. The collective sigh of relief was almost audible. Italy represented not just a vacation, but a return to normalcy, to beauty, to life lived fully, a stark contrast to the sterile dread of hospital waiting rooms. It was Eric's declaration that joy could, and must, resume. Brooke, feeling the weight of her own heartache over Ridge lift slightly amidst the shared familial warmth, managed a genuine smile. Ridge, standing beside Taylor, nodded, grateful for the distraction and the chance to rebuild. Yet, even as plans for Tuscan villas and Roman fountains began to spark, an insidious question wormed its way into the celebratory mood, voiced perhaps only internally, but felt by many: what if Liam's fragile recovery faltered? What if one of the feared complications, a seizure, a catastrophic bleed, a devastating infection, struck while his mother, his sister, his stepfather, his entire support system, were thousands of miles away, sipping Chianti under an Italian sun? The trip, meant as a healing balm, suddenly carried the potential to be an agonizing exile should the miracle prove illusory or transient. The joy was real, but the undercurrent of fear, seeded by the dubious nature of his cure, refused to be entirely silenced. This complex emotional landscape, where profound relief wrestled with deep-seated doubt, created fertile ground for Nick Marone. Observing Brooke, truly seeing the toll the past months had taken, the anguish over Liam, the shattering blow of Ridge's definitive departure for Taylor, the lingering stress of the Spectre Fashions debacle and her mother's scheming, Nick recognized a vulnerability, but also a potential opening. Brooke was adrift, emotionally raw, and fiercely independent, yet undeniably lonely. With Ridge seemingly cemented in his reunion with Taylor, the dressmaker Brooke had loved, then lost, Nick saw an opportunity not for manipulation, but for a genuine connection. On Tuesday, July 22, emboldened perhaps by the general atmosphere of second chances swirling around Liam's recovery and Eric's call to embrace life, Nick made his romantic move. It wasn't a grand, public gesture, but something more intimate, more potent in its directness, a heartfelt confession of his enduring feelings, a reminder of the undeniable spark that had always existed between them, a suggestion that perhaps it was time to stop looking backwards. He offered not a rebound, but an adventure, a chance to explore something new, something potentially real, without the baggage of past Forrester battles. Brooke, caught in the emotional crosswinds, the soaring joy for Liam, the residual sting of Ridge's rejection, the sheer exhaustion of constant crisis, found herself hesitating. Nick's timing was impeccable. His offer wasn't just romance, it was a lifeline thrown to a woman drowning in emotional complexity. Could this be the moment, amidst the celebration of one life saved, that Brooke finally allowed herself to truly let go of Ridge and step onto a new path, uncharted and potentially thrilling, with Nick? His boldness forced her to confront the possibility that her own story, like Liam's, might hold an unexpected, even miraculous, next chapter. Thus, Forrester Creation stood at a nexus. Eric's announcement, a beacon of normalcy and joy, shone brightly, yet cast long shadows of worry about the stability of the miracle enabling it. Nick's romantic advance offered Brooke a tantalizing escape from her heartbreak, a chance to redefine her future, yet risked igniting new conflicts. And Liam's miraculous awakening, the joyous epicenter of it all, remained shrouded in the terrifying ambiguity of Grace Buckingham's potentially fabricated diagnosis and the looming threat of surgical complications. The spreading news of his survival brought unity and elation, but the whispers of Finn, Bridget, Hope, and Taylor, coupled with Lee's suspicious absence, were the dissonant notes threatening the harmony. The trip to Italy promised restoration, but the fear of being absent during a crisis was its silent passenger. The family, bound by love yet perpetually tested, moved forward into a future shimmering with renewed hope, but walked a tightrope stretched taut over an abyss of unresolved questions and potential disaster. Liam was alive, Eric was leading them towards light, and Nick was offering Brooke a new direction, but the true cost of the miracle, the depth of Lee's secrets, and the durability of both Liam's health and Brooke's potential new romance remained agonizingly, dramatically, unknown. The tapestry of their lives, momentarily brightened, was still being woven with threads of doubt, desire, and the ever-present possibility of unraveling.